y'all, welcome back to my channel. You are watching Shelly Flowers Reads and Writes, where I talk about all things related to reading and writing. I am Michelle Flores, and today I am going to be reorganizing my bookshelf. So, if you watched my July wrap-up, you will notice that I read 17 books. Of those 17 books, I read 3 audiobooks, and then the rest were physical copies. So 14 physical copies total, which means this whole situation has got to change. Now, I have done a bookshelf tour in the past, but I have gotten a lot better at making videos since then. So I would like to do an updated bookshelf tour, as well as show like my process of organizing and unhauling books. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so now that that's done, here is my brand newly organized bookshelf. So up top is where I normally keep the books that I have finished reading. So right at my nightstand is where I keep my TBR for that particular month. If I make one, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But when I do, that's where I keep my TBR books. Up here is where I keep the books that I finished for the month, so I can keep track of them before I do my monthly wrap up. Then what I've got going on now is the same thing here. This is all miscellaneous. So I have different journals that I have read that I really enjoyed. I also have graphic novels here. And then I have an old journal I wrote in from a few years ago. And then here we have all of the journals that I have been published in, which is kind of cool. I'm glad that I have that little collection. This is all of my poetry. So I've got a lot of poetry. Ada Limon is probably one of my famous poets that I haven't really talked about too much on the channel. And I got a couple Jenna Smiths here. I've got some Jessica Salgados. Yeah, and then a lot of these bigger books, these collections, are books that I read in grad school. Now, I'm really liking how this section looks. So I've got my little Florida Man bobblehead over here. Yeah. And then here I have my novels in verse in the middle, and then we transition into fiction. So I'm actually starting to look a little bit like a booktuber with this fiction section, man. So here we have my fictions, and for right now I am mixing in my series with the rest of my fiction books. If we get a house that has more bookshelves, I think I would like to keep them on separate shelves because I just think that looks better. But this is what I'm doing for now. So here we have a few more of my fiction books, and I have these little pictures here. Then over here in this little corner, we've got my craft books. These two I read in grad school. This one I just read. And as you can see, they're all about poetry. So clearly I need some fiction craft books to help me out with my novel. And then the rest of the space are all of my nonfiction books. I've decided to keep my teacher books there for now because I don't mind them being there, and to be quite frank, I don't know how much longer I'll be in the classroom, so I think it just makes sense to keep them there for now. Yeah, and so my bottom shelf these are all of the nonfiction books, the like last chunk of it, and then these are my TBRs. So like I've talked about in previous videos, if I don't finish those books, then, you know, they'll stick around. But if I start reading them, I get 50 pages into it and I don't like what I'm reading, then I am unhauling that sucker because I'm not trying to keep these books for that much longer. So that's where we're at. Okay, so now that I've done all that reorganization, these are the books that I plan on unhauling for the month of July. First up, we have The Silent Patient by Alex McCain. I'm actually not technically unhauling this, it's just that this book was my cousin's, so I'm going to go mail this back to her so she can have it back in her library. The next book that I am going to unhaul is The Mambo King Sing Songs of Love. I am actually really upset that I'm unhauling this, but I did not like this book at all. Oscar Hijuelos is actually a Cuban American author, so I was hoping to really love it. And the story itself is one that I'm very interested in. It's basically about mambo, or like a mambo band during the 1950s and 60s, dealing with coming to America post-revolution and all of the complexities that came with that. But it's just so misogynistic, and I understand that that's part of the culture, and I get all of that, but my issue is more that the misogyny is presented as something that should just be accepted, and I'm just at this point in my life where I don't really want to read stories like that anymore. I've had to read them my entire life, and I want something different, something fresh. So this book just was not it for me. The next book that I'm going to be unhauling is The Walking Dead: The Road to Woodbury. I'm pretty sure this novelization is the second in a series, and I think I have the first one somewhere, but I don't know where. So I loved The Walking Dead in my early 20s, like most people did. Like, I read the graphic novel before. This is my hipster moment right now, but I read the graphic novel before it became a TV show, and I was really into it, but I think my taste for zombie stuff, it's been oversaturated, right? Like, zombies just blew up everywhere, and I kind of got tired of reading about it, so I'm unhauling this, and hopefully someone else can enjoy it. This next book should not come as any surprise to anybody, but I am unhauling The Mermaid's Voice Returns in This One by Amanda Lovelace. I gave it 1 star. Not my favorite book. I'm also giving this away in the month of August, so if you are interested in this book and you want to participate in the Seeley Challenge, or you just want to read more poetry, let me know and I will send this to you for free, because I do think it has merit. It's just not something that fits my taste. The next book that I am unhauling is The Charm School by Nelson DeMille. I got 50 pages into it and I could not get into the storyline, so considering it's been on my TBR shelf for nearly 10 years, it's time to let it go. And lastly, I am also unhauling The English Patient for very similar reasons. I've had this book on my shelf for years. I tried to read it for the reading rush, could not get more than 40 pages into it, so it's time to let it go. All right, y'all, that is it for me. Thank you for joining me as I get my life together, get my books together. If you'd like to hit that like button, go ahead and do so. And if you like what you see, go ahead and hit subscribe. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday, sometimes Fridays. I'm also available on all social media platforms as @ShellyFlowers. So go ahead and follow me, Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, Tumblr. If you're still on Tumblr for whatever godforsaken reason, go ahead and do that. I also have a couple books available for purchase. All right, ciao y'all.